Hello, and welcome to the show Goldsquadrongays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and welcome to the longest fucking lead time between a show and us recording ever.
Yes.
Except for the Mando ones we retrospective.
You know, eventually we were going to do this. It was going to happen eventually. So they were going to be like, what the hell?
Something was going to happen.
Right.
Something was going to happen. That something turned out to be COVID-19 that rendered me unable to barely speak or get out of bed. Fun times.
I mean, we apologize, but also, I guess it was his health that was an issue. So,
blah, blah, blah. I know. I could just hear the, oh, you should be dragging yourself out of bed to make the content.
Yeah, are you a real Star Wars fan?
Are you a real Star Wars fan if you don't drag yourself out of bed with COVID? First of all, I got COVID at Celebration, so don't start.
That's what's ironic about this whole entire thing. That's what's
Second
so funny
of all, I promise you that no one that listens to the show consistently wants me to suffer just to put out. I do it anyway, but no one wants me to. So, Bradley, I do not believe we have any news that has occurred in the few days I've been bedridden.
Oh, other than we have a Bad Batch release date.
Yeah, so they randomly put out, they told us at SWCA fall 2022. Mm-hmm. And we didn't know what fall meant. Bradley and I were kind of going back and forth on what does fall mean. Disney Plus might have leaked it. So they put up a banner that by accident that said coming September 28th. Which is random and weird. Now, I have also heard that they mistakenly put up a banner saying coming October 31st, which is the Andor release date. So there may be some confusion internally at Disney Plus with what they're attaching to their banners.
Who knows?
I don't know. September 28th is such a random fucking date.
Yeah, I want to believe it, but at the same time, it's kind of like one of those things where you're just like, it doesn't make sense quite. Honestly,
it tracks. If you want the back half of it to be running in between Andor and Mandalorian, because Mandalorian's coming out in February. And so if it premieres September 28th and it's 16 episodes, that would be October, November, December, January would be all filled with Bad Batch. And then it would be October and November that overlap with Andor. We have no idea how we're going to cover this in a timely manner on the show.
Oh God.
I'm excited for all these shows, and I'm like,
oh yeah, no, I love it.
Thinking about it, I personally would prefer, like, if they were gonna do, as opposed to being like, there is a new Star Wars show every single week in perpetuity. I kind of prefer some weeks you're gonna get 2 Star Wars shows and some weeks you're gonna get 0. Because I like having breaks from new Star Wars content. It gets a little overwhelming to follow it every single day. Like, leave me alone. Rings of Power is coming out. Dragon Age 4 just got a title released. I have other things I want to do.
No, yeah. And that's why I like having like little mini breaks. Like, that's why I can enjoy like the Marvel shows once in a while. You know what I mean? Because then it gives us a break from Star Wars for a bit. And you're just like, okay, I can watch Moon Knight or whatever. I can watch whatever. And you don't have to think like Star Wars.
I can watch Midnight. Hi, Daddy.
Oh my God.
Hi, Daddy. I see you there.
You're ridiculous. I hate how you're gonna be when She-Hulk Attorney at Law comes out. You're gonna be so weird.
Oh my God, I'm gonna be a menace. I'm gonna be a fucking menace. It's gonna be Step on Me, Mommy, every week.
Every week. I know. I can already see it happening. I already see it.
You know what my brand is, Bradley. You know how this works by this point. But speaking of Daddy,
yes,
let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which premiered almost over a week ago, as of recording this. In a room that I was in, which I will bring up between now and the end of this show. I was in the room for that, which was very, very cool. And I will talk about some of the audience reactions in the actual premiere as we get through the episode. But fortunately, as it is a currently airing TV show, I don't write the script for these episodes. So Bradley, do you want to take us into the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Absolutely. Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 1, part 1. Not an actual title this time. That was interesting. But
no
we're just gonna,
titles. We're
yeah, no
doing
titles,
parts.
only parts. So this is just one extra long movie. So keep that in mind moving forward. This week, Obi-Wan Kenobi makes his return 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. We see him where we left off, watching over Luke on Tatooine. When a surviving Jedi is discovered by Inquisitors on Tatooine, Kenobi avoids helping the man so that he may protect Luke. To draw Kenobi out, the Inquisitor Reva hires a bounty hunter to kidnap the Princess of Alderaan, causing her adoptive father, Bail Organa, to reach out to Kenobi for help since they were once friends in the war. Charles, what was one thing you liked about this episode and one thing you did not?
So one thing I liked about the episode is I was impressed, and there's no point specifically for me to talk about the notes, but I was impressed as somebody who's familiar with the prequel era, somebody who's familiar with kind of the Rebels era, somebody who's familiar with the original trilogy. I liked how it was very clear where this fit in that timeline. That they did a good job of making sure that the production design, the aesthetics, the design of the shots, design of the costumes, the characters they chose to be in it, all of this like comes together. And I point out, I'm like, yeah, that's 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. Yep. It's like a year or two before Rebels starts. I can peg this. I know exactly where this is happening. One thing I disliked was the bit where the credits rolled. That was my issue because it stopped and then I didn't get more episode.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That was my problem.
Your problem was that it didn't keep going. I got you.
My problem is that it ended.
I
am going to struggle to find things that I dislike about this show.
Same. It's going to be really hard. Yeah.
Really hard. I think I am going to get up on my soapbox for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I will. It's not a problem with the episode. It's a problem with Disney Plus. So we're going to talk about the first scene. The first scene, there's no delicate way to phrase it. It literally opens with like a classroom being shot up.
Yeah.
And given current recent events, obviously there needed to be some sort of warning on the episode.
And this isn't the only show to do this too, by the way.
This is not the only show to do this. Disney, yeah, I've heard.
Because Stranger Things also did the same thing.
Yep.
And Stranger Things was 10 times worse.
I'm going to complain about Disney Plus because what Disney Plus did was originally they had a very well-written one that basically said, this is a continuation of events from 10 years ago.
Right.
Scene's going to hit different, viewer discretion advised. They changed it to a more general, this contains scenes that some viewers might find disturbing. You need to be more specific, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
If you're going to put content warnings up front, you need to say what the content is up front. That is the point of a content
warning. Yeah. Trigger.
It took me off guard.
Yeah.
In the theater. And it even took me off guard again when I watched it and I knew what was coming. It's a shocking scene, but it hits different now. And that was one thing I disliked is they could have been more responsible about how that scene was presented within the context of Disney Plus itself. I don't think they should have changed anything about the episode. I think the way it's presented in the episode is perfect. I think the way that Disney Plus warns people ahead of time that it's coming needs work. Bradley, what's one thing you liked and one thing you disliked?
Well, jumping off your point, one thing I disliked actually was the first scene, only for the fact that I know that it'll probably connect later on, episodes later, because I have a theory that one of the children is Reva.
Oh, yeah, one of the kids, obviously
it's got to be her. Like, so that's my, I think actually it's the only one with a speaking line. I think that's her. I'm assuming she's like, come on, guys, let's go, or something like that, right? So I think that's her.
Gonna run.
Yeah. So that's the only reason why I'm like fine with the scene still being in it, because what I thought was weird, just watching it on its own by itself with the warning in the beginning, I thought, this doesn't connect to anything else in the episode. It's just kind of shoehorned in the beginning. Like we already know what happened. Like we know, the problem is we know Darth Vader's in the other room killing children. Like, so we don't need to be like reminded of this. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and another thing is 1 6-hour movie, but 2, we also can now look at this. There is a thing we are recording this on the 4th of June. I have been incapacitated with the COVID-19. So we've actually already had a chance to see episode 3. And there is a pretty good hint in episode 3 that Reva used to be a Jedi. But we'll get to that when we get to episode 3.
One thing I did like, though, about the episode, and I'm going to probably say this every single time we record, is what I'm dubbing Little Leia.
Yes. Oh my God.
The actress, when we get to her, we'll name her and everything, but Leia is one of the best parts of this show. I genuinely believe that she is one of the best parts. And honestly, because like you said, we have seen all the way up to episode 3. She keeps getting sassier and funnier. And I'm just like so into her. Like she is so great. This little girl, whoever the casting, I mean, snaps to you. She is fantastic.
I believe we said on our episode 0 who the casting director was.
We did, I think.
So shout out to that person. I don't remember the name. No, I have a confession when we get to Leia.
Okay.
But Star Wars has just decided to be the show about grumpy old men adopting kids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like the same story.
I'm here for it. Like, great. Go for it.
Right.
Star Wars has decided, like Legacy Star Wars has decided to be about parenthood. Yep. And I'm like, you know what? I'm into that. All right, Bradley, take us into the first section.
Yeah. And before we actually do that, the Star Wars logo did change again.
Before we do that,
oh God,
I watched this once again at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim. I was in the room when this premiered.
Yes.
And they dived right in with the logo, straight into the Order 66 scene.
Okay.
Apparently, when you watch it on Disney Plus, and I didn't realize this until I watched it back, someone was tweeting about they did a previously on Star Wars for this show.
Yes, they did. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I went back and I watched it on Disney Plus to take my notes because we weren't allowed to have phones out in the theater. And obviously I wasn't going to take notes during that. I can't hop on Wikipedia and figure out who people are. I went back and I watched the previously on. I'm like, they really did a here's what you missed on Glee for the
exactly. And that's what you missed on Star Wars. Like it was stupid, but it was funny.
It was so hilarious. And yes, they did change the logo again.
Yes. They added the armor from Mandalorian and a mouse droid randomly. I don't know why that was on there.
Well, it is Pride Month.
Is that why it's on there? It was
mouse droids are canonically used for gay sexting.
So I want to bring this up though, because they do change the logo, it seems, with every show. But like, at least when they change the logo, it makes sense for the show. So like, I'm confused why Kenobi got armor and mouse droid when like Bad Batch, for example, got
like Hunter and Crosshair.
Right. They got other stuff.
Bad Batch.
That makes sense. Yeah. And more animated stuff.
I wonder if they're trying to do one for animation and one for live action, but then
it's always random every time. So I don't know. It's always
random every time.
Yeah,
it makes no goddamn sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And so I'm done watching it, done paying attention because I just can't.
I'm gonna keep watching it and keep paying attention to it because it annoys me.
All right. Let's just get right into it. Our story begins with a flashback to Order 66. And then I just said no title card. This is just part 1. So we can just talk about we kind of spoke on it a little bit. I said the youngling with lines. That was the only one. She says, that says run is a little black girl. I was like, oh, that's obviously Reba.
That's
obviously Reba.
I want to take you through my exact process of watching this scene for the first time mentally.
Oh God.
Oh, it's Coruscant. That's nice. What a pretty scene. Oh, nice. We're going to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi youth flashback. How peaceful. And this will lead into his meditation. Oh, fuck no.
Right.
No, God, no. What the fuck? Yeah. I did cry when I watched it in the theater. Yeah. I did cry again when I watched it to take my notes. So I've cried both of those times.
So what's funny is when I was watching the scene, I thought when I was watching it, I thought they were going to show us the scene where Grogu escapes randomly, like, because it visually, like, it was like they filmed it on the same day or something, you know what I mean? Like, you know how the flashback is very similar. So I was like, oh, they might show Grogu randomly, like in the background, like being rescued. Like, I thought it was so weird, but
I do believe that, like, that scene though, those are real. The clones are not CGI. I do believe those are actual stunt people.
Nice.
In clone armor.
They did look a little more, tangible.
Yeah, I think we get 2 oneers in this scene. I think we get the first shot, and then when they go out into the hallway, it's a oneer from then to the end of the scene.
Right.
And as you know, I am perpetually hard for one shots.
Yes.
I absolutely love when something does not cut. So this scene was like horrifying and beautiful to me. Like right out the gate, Deborah Chow, you are an icon. You are a legend. Have all the Star Wars that Dallas Howard doesn't want. Because, oh my Lord, right from the get-go, she knocked it out of the scene. Because honestly, she found a way to make Order 66 worse. And I didn't think that was possible.
I feel like they're going to keep bringing up this Order 66 in every single fucking Disney show now. And every single one. I don't know why. They're just like, you know what? This is very important to the plot. We just have to show you this over and over again.
There you go. Order 66. Look, at least we know there cannot be a Order 66 in Ahsoka. Because we've already seen Ahsoka Order 66. It was in Clone Wars Season 7.
You say that, but watch them recreate that scene in live action.
So I have 2 more notes for this sequence. The firstly is that I want to point out that the Palpatine voice that we hear at the end is diegetic. So to be clear, the clones are broadcasting Darth Sidious giving the order to murder the Jedi on loudspeaker while the Jedi are getting murdered. So for a lot of the Jedi, the last thing they are ever hearing is the voice of the Return of the Sith ordering their deaths.
Perfect.
That is such a Sidious thing to do.
Very poetic.
Very poetic. Just like, no, I want you to play, you over there, stop shooting the Jedi. I want you to go into the loudspeaker booth and I want you to get on the PA system and I want you to just broadcast my voice on a loop. Because I am a dick.
Yep.
And the last note I want to bring up is who that random Jedi is that protects the kids.
Oh, who is it?
So, first of all, shout out to her for being a fucking badass. She is original to the show. She's not shown up before, but her name is Minas Velti, and she is played by Ming Q, I think is how you say this last name. I'm terribly sorry for butchering your name, but that is who that is. I want to see her in more things. Just as a character, I would be very interested to know more about her. Probably not.
Unfortunately. She doesn't really have a good ending here.
Yeah.
But maybe if we get more flashbacks, if this is indeed Reva, that I think we maybe that's like her, her instructor, her teacher, whatever. Like we'll see another flashback. I would like to see
her. Yeah, I would like to see her pop up in more things. Because she seemed like such a cool character.
Absolutely. 10 years later, we open up on Tatooine, where
what a fucking surprise!
You know what? We couldn't get off of Tatooine on the last show, so they said, you know what? Let's do it again.
What if we spend more time on Tatooine? Oh, good Lord. Sorry, please continue.
We open up on Tatooine, where a menacing ship lands and drops off 3 Inquisitors who enter a local cantina looking for a Jedi. He is exposed by the Inquisitor Riva, but gets away.
All right, so we know 2 of these 3 Inquisitors already.
Already, yes, we do.
We know the Grand Inquisitor, who is being portrayed by Rupert Friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the 5th brother, who is being portrayed by Sung Kang. And our new Inquisitor is our antagonist of the series, Moses Ingram as Inquisitor Riva.
Mm-hmm.
That's who these dudes are.
So some fun facts about some of these people. Moses Ingram, which is the one that is the most impressive of this list, right? So I was looking at her career because I was like, I don't know who she is, right? I wanted to see. Now I didn't watch Queen's Gambit, but she was in Queen's Gambit, right? And that was in 2020 is when that came out. She graduated college in 2019. She literally graduated college in 2019, then got on Queen's Gambit in 2020, and now she's on the fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi show as the main fucking antagonist.
I love her so goddamn much.
Her rising star is like shooting, like it's going, like I think she's actually on like I don't know what magazine this is, but she's like on their list for like people to watch because that's insane. She just graduated college and she's already in Star Wars. Like, I don't understand.
I mean, I'm gonna make my age vaguely doxable. So someone I graduated with at college. So I'm not sure if I graduated at the same time as him, or if I graduated like a year before, a year after. We were kind of in the same. Once you at my college, once you passed about sophomore year, your grade stopped mattering.
Yeah.
It effectively meant nothing. He is giving the commencement speech at our college for this graduating class.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already having a moment of, oh Lord, I have accomplished nothing but this stupid Star Wars podcast. And now you're telling me Moses Ingram graduated college in 2019.
Yeah.
And then immediately turned around and was so badass that she got her way. Who is her agent?
I don't know. She didn't even let COVID slow her down because think about it. Like she graduated in 2019. COVID was immediately after that in 2020. So she probably finished Queen's Gambit before, that all happened. Or she did it during the pandemic. I don't even know how. I don't know the behind the scenes for Queen's Gambit, but that blows my mind because she immediately turned around and yes, it obviously got slow after that for like a year, but like, she's back on top and fucking Star Wars is her next only other project. Like that's insane.
And she is killing it. Like Riva is one of the most interesting new characters that has introduced.
I see like this, like after this is over, because I mean, obviously she's gonna die at the end of this. Like that's my theory is that she's gonna die.
Maybe.
But you think? You don't think they're gonna eat her at the end? Like Darth Vader's gonna eat her?
I mean, there's some like whispers of like them greenlighting a sequel, but I mean, they're just rumors. I think take it on its own. Yeah, she's going to die at the end of this. But as we know, no one's ever really gone.
That's true. Well, and I also think actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I feel like they might be setting her up for a redemption. It's gonna be iffy because it's gonna be one of those weird things where it's like she's gonna do something right before she dies to like I don't know, some bullshit like that. Because now we're getting into
that's Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's Star Wars' whole thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's an episode 3 topic because that's where I kind of started thinking of it. So just keep that in mind for episode 3.
But she's literally just stepped off the shuttle for the first time.
Yes.
I like how some of the dudes in the background of the scene like just have their guns out. Like if you look at some of the extras in the background and the aliens, they've just pulled their guns out and are holding them. Like it shows that Tatooine is not the kind of place, Mos Eisley in particular, which is where this is, not the kind of place you just walk into.
Also, I do like how the ship is contrasted with Tatooine. Like it's this very obviously like black, like it doesn't fit in with the landscape and it looks like out of place. So when they land and then you have these 3 people wearing black come out, it's very like stark contrast to the dirty roughness of Tatooine and the cleanliness of the Empire.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like the muted earthy shades of Tatooine, the residents, they're wearing like maroons and blues and the Empire's here, this black and white. kind of aesthetic. Like production design A+ on this show.
A+.
Let's talk about Rupert Friend as the Grand Inquisitor, because I really like the direction he went with him.
Okay.
Where what Friend is doing with this role is that he said that he didn't want to just like do an imitation of Jason Isaacs, because Jason Isaacs is a very distinctive voice and a very distinctive timbre to the way he speaks. And Rupert Friend was like, I don't really want to do and like just try to imitate another actor. So he tried to come at the same character from a different approach. And I thought he did an excellent job of it. I also really like the role the Grand Inquisitor plays in this, where he's kind of the restrained one.
Right.
Trying to hold Riva back, which is not how we've seen the Grand Inquisitor before. When we see him in Rebels, he's much more aggressive about hunting Ezra and Kanan.
That's true. And it is also worth noting that this is taking place 10 years before Rebels.
Well, not 10. It's taking about 5 years before.
Oh, is it 5? Okay.
It's about 5.
Oh, I keep forgetting that Rebels is like, I always think Rebels and New Hope are like synonymous for some reason in my brain, like because of fucking Rogue One messed me up with like
they're
the timing
real
of everything.
Close.
Yeah.
They're
it's all
close.
It all fucked me up.
It's gonna be Ezra's 15 when the show starts, and he was born on Empire Day. So we're about 5 years out from Rebels.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So it's worth noting that,
that will be relevant in episode 2, by the way.
Right. We'll talk
this
about
happens before Rebels.
Yeah. So I want to go to the fifth brother too, because first of all, the costuming and the makeup for the fifth brother, those are just things that you don't necessarily think that would translate very well. Like, and same with the Grand Inquisitor. You know, people were kind of iffy about his look. Honestly, I think we just got like bad screenshots from like the trailer stuff.
That's what I said at the time.
Yeah,
that's
because
a bunch of people said at the time is like, you can't judge these prosthetics off of 5 seconds of screen time.
Because when you see the Grand Inquisitor closer up, like, and his eyes are actually yellow at times, and you're like, especially in darker scenes, is like he almost looks like he gets like they change, like they kind of like come out more.
Yeah, and like people are like, oh, his teeth aren't sharp. His top row of his teeth is sharp. Yeah. The bottom is flat, but the top is sharp.
Right.
Like, and you couldn't see that in the trailer. Like maybe the eyes digitally hadn't been finished yet by the time the trailer.
Right. Yeah. There's so many things.
Came out. I mean, both of them look great.
Amazing.
They look really good. I just have Riva Girl Boss here in my notes. And I do want to shout out Benny Safdie, who plays Nari, the fugitive Jedi in this episode.
Which we incorrectly guessed was going to be the droid from episode 3.
We did incorrectly guess that it was going to be the droid. He is not the droid.
Yeah, and you know what's weird though is when we got that cast list, I thought everybody in the cast list was going to be this very like prominent role like for the series moving forward, but like he's only in this one episode essentially, maybe a little bit in the next one, but his body. But
well, it's only in this one.
That's only in this one. Okay.
Well, we're 3 episodes in, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. hasn't even showed up yet.
Right. So who knows? Yeah. I mean, maybe he's just a 1 episode person too. Like it's just one of those things that we just weren't expecting, and just there's not really you can guess. Up next, we cut to a dead carcass in the middle of the Dune Sea, where laborers are collecting its meat. One worker we recognize as the infamous Obi-Wan Kenobi. He clocks out for the day and heads home on his Yopi when a local Jawa trader, Tika, comes to his home to sell him some goods. During the night, Obi-Wan dreams of his past failures. He wakes and reaches out for his old master, who doesn't respond.
That's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's Obi-Wan Kenobi working a day job.
I like that they have to give him a day job, because like every other bit of media about him during this time period has portrayed him as like he immediately moved into his hut. Yeah. And then he proceeded to do nothing for 20 years.
Right. Yeah, he's obviously going to do something. Like, he's not just going to sit in his house. I like
that he has to get a day job.
Yeah.
Like, he has to pay for things.
Yeah, he's got to do stuff. Like,
One thing that is interesting to note is the direct contrast between what the Grand Inquisitor says about the Jedi is like, Jedi have to help people. It's an itch. And then we immediately cut to Obi-Wan not helping a guy getting bullied. I like that immediate contrast. And it's our first kind of indication that Obi-Wan has cut himself off from the Force and completely just cut himself off from being a Jedi. And I do like that.
It's like, I like the guys like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, like it's almost like it's like, where's the union? Where's the union around here?
There is no union. This is the future that Jeff Bezos wants. There is no union.
I'm like, how many years? Oh, I guess this is a long time ago, actually. So it's not actually Jeff Bezos hasn't been born yet, according to this.
But the stink of capitalism remains.
Right. Oh, wait, I just realized. If this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we're just now getting the information. So technically it is now because that's the way how light works. So
then why are we getting it out of order?
I don't know. You know what? I think we have just really shitty technology right now. And we just like keep getting bits and pieces of the information. Yeah, our spotty Wi-Fi keeps going in and out. And they're like, oh, here's the prequel era. Here's the sequel era. I was like, wait, why are you guys doing these out of order? They should all be coming to us in real time. Oh, well.
I do want to shout out Obi-Wan Kenobi riding the train.
Mm-hmm.
Just go public transit in general. I am famously horny for trains. Love when a train shows up in Star Wars.
Oh my God. Well, you are Sheldon Cooper.
You know what, Bradley?
Sheldon Cooper loves trains, so
I will never forgive the Big Bang Theory for existing.
I'm shocked that they haven't done another spinoff.
Jesus Christ. Also, I do want to point out, Obi-Wan having his EOP.
Mm-hmm. Classic.
He is canonically good with animals. I like that the way he does it is he takes public transit to his job.
Yes.
But he takes the EOP from town back to where he lives in order to cover his tracks.
Yeah, it's like he goes like out of his way to just be extra with his like journey back and forth.
Yeah, but it's to hide his tracks.
Right.
And it's also because he's super far out in the desert. Public transit doesn't go all the way out to Rome, Georgia.
Right.
I also want to shout out the rising bread.
Yes.
The rising food that he eats.
Food. Yeah.
There's a lot of sequel trilogy iconography in this, which I love. This is just one of the things that they will use in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, we're now entering that era of like, before they were taking things from the prequels and putting it in, the modern day stuff. Now they can go, oh, let's take stuff that we did in the sequels and put it in the modern day stuff so that it all connects. It's been there the whole time. You just didn't see it because we just didn't know it was there.
We didn't show you yet.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
However, the bread scene does lead us into the best scene with the best character. Let's talk about Tika.
Let's talk about Tika.
This is the best fucking, oh my God. Obi-Wan getting swindled by a Jawa.
Oh my God.
I didn't know I needed this in my life, but I needed this in my life.
So I don't want to get weird, but I'm going to say that Tika, I don't know how old Jawas get or like their lifespans or like what they're at, but I'm assuming Tika is the Jawa that
dated Pelimoto. I believe
that Pelimoto dated.
Look, if you're going to steal my vaporator parts, can you at least clean them before you sell them back to me? Cleaning costs extra.
Right.
You can't tell me that person and Pelimoto did not get along.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, Tika, at least Tika knows Pelimoto. Like, at least.
This is one of those scenes that's so random because it kind of serves the plot and then it gets into the T-16 that he'll use in the next sequence. We aren't there yet. On the other hand, it is just a fun scene. And also, it shows off Ewan McGregor's acting chops.
Yeah, it's just a nice bit
just
of
having a ball with it.
Yeah, I like just a little bit of levity sometimes because you just need it. Like I think in the first little section we got was so serious and so like action and whatever, and now it's like, oh, reminder, there is comedy in Star Wars. Like it's there. You just got
Star Wars is funny. It is for children. It is for literal children. So Obi-Wan has like a flashback sequence in while he's dreaming. This was the scene I thought everyone was tweeting about when they were tweeting about the previously on. I got confused because I was like, you're tweeting about this the minute the episode came out. How are you already at this scene? It was a different scene. So they have two flashback sequences.
Two flashback scenes.
I do want to throw in there. So we can all agree that Qui-Gon is going to show up in this.
Yeah, I mean, my theory is that like it's one of those things where like he's at his, you have to hit rock bottom, and once you hit rock bottom, then it's like, oh, here's the thing that's gonna send me into the finale, that's gonna make me win the day or whatever he needs to do, right? So Qui-Gon will show up, give him a little pep talk at the end, and then it'll be like, all right, thanks, Liam Neeson, for your 1 5-second cameo. Here's $1 billion. Go away forever.
Well, I mean, Liam Neeson's voicing Qui-Gon Jinn in Tales of the Jedi, so he has said that he is willing to like do Star Wars things.
I honestly bring him back. Like, I feel like anybody who was in the prequels should come back, because all that stuff, like, they didn't have enough time to shine, and especially whoever was in Phantom Menace, you know what I mean? Like, that was all like, one and done. So I feel like absolutely Liam Neeson come back, because
Liam Neeson come back. Keira Knightley get a Sabe show when?
You know what? That's a good idea too. I never thought about that. Honestly, no. Do a whole fucking Padme show and do it based on those Queen's books or whatever, because they both look young as fuck. So
here's the thing, like, spoilers for Queen Hope, I guess. Sabe canonically during this time is like working to free the slaves on Tatooine. So like, give Keira Knightley a show. Hell, or pay her all of the money to come in and be Sabe for 5 minutes. But yeah, Liam, they are telegraphing really hard. And here's the thing, tinfoil hat, right? So there's a book called like Skywalker something, Skywalker's at War or something.
Okay.
Like that came out like about 2 or 3 years ago. That book mentions that it took Obi-Wan 10 years to contact Qui-Gon. It is 10 years.
Oh, well, la-di-da. Look at Kenobi. The next day, Kenobi takes his EOP back out to the Lars family farm. Here we see he is keeping his promise by keeping an eye on the boy, who even begins to be showing signs of being like his father already, avoiding his chores from his aunt and uncle. At night, Kenobi leaves a present for Luke. Before he heads home, he is confronted by the runaway Jedi, Nari, who begs him for help, but he turns him down.
Quick rapid fire notes on this sequence so we can move on to the next one, which is the thing we really want to talk about.
Right.
Owen is back. Owen is portrayed by Joel Edgerton, reprising his role from Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Beru, who we get a brief glimpse of, too brief in my opinion.
Yeah, we only like hear her really. Yeah.
Bonnie Piesse. She was Beru in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Luke is being played by Grant Feely, and all of you are going to leave him the fuck alone.
Because he's barely in the show so far.
First of all, he's barely in the show.
Barely in it, yeah. So I don't want to hear a damn thing about that kid. Like,
no, he is adorable up there, pretending like he is pretending to pod race. He is very clearly pretending to pod race.
I love that.
I am kind of impressed that Obi-Wan like rides the EOP right up to the Lars family's garage and like walks in. Nobody hears it.
I mean,
nobody shoots him.
They're like, there's noises outside. Let's just not go out there because there's probably wild animals and creatures and things.
I mean, if I were Owen and I thought someone was creeping around the farm, he expresses later in the episode what he does when vermin comes around the farm.
Gotcha.
So I'm kind of impressed Obi-Wan managed to ride the EOP straight up. My only real note on the Nari and Obi-Wan scene is I want to talk about the dark reflection that it is of, which it is a dark reflection to the Rey and Luke stuff in Last Jedi. Because the main difference here, they're very similar. Somebody comes up to a Jedi in hiding who blames themselves for what happened and is like, we need you to get back into the fight.
I see.
And they're like, no, and fuck off. And then Nari proceeds to actually fuck off. Yeah. That's the difference, is Nari does actually leave. And Rey's like, absolutely the fuck not. So I found that interesting, the contrast between what Obi-Wan tells Nari and then what Nari does, and what Luke tells Rey, and then Rey's like, absolutely not, I'm going to stay here. Although speaking of Organas, we have Leia motherfucking Organa in this show.
I was not expecting that at all. So, I had no idea.
So here's my confession.
Okay, let's hear the spoiler confession that you knew already.
I have known not only that Leia Organa was going to be in the show, but that Vivian Lyra Blair, who plays her, was the one cast.
Yeah.
For probably about 3 months.
Wow.
It was discussed and verified by multiple people to the point where it was very clear that that's what was going on. And so I actually knew it. And for our whole episode 0, for everything leading up to it, I did not tell you.
You're biting your tongue.
I was biting my tongue. I desperately wanted to be like, I predict Leia Organa is going to be in this, and she's going to be a major part of it so that I can look clever. But no, I did actually know, thank you, Jordan Mason, that quite a bit in advance that Leia was going to be in this. So I was very excited to see her.
Yeah.
It did not disappoint at all.
No, I what's funny about this is she is actually the opposite of what you would have expected, right? Because like the obvious choice is to be like, oh, little Luke, right? Because he's watching him on Tatooine and blah, 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 blah. You don't really think about Leia because in, the original story, she's just kind of fucks off in Alderaan until she's an adult. And then it's like New Hope. Like, you know what I mean? So there's nothing there.
Yeah. And we had the excellent, like, Leia Princess of Alderaan, written by Claudia Gray. We've had some excellent Leia content, kind of bridging that gap, but this is a very unexplored period. And I think what's interesting is that the arc with Leia that we're clearly seeing is somebody who is not comfortable growing into the role that they have, that she doesn't yet understand leaning into her position to be able to do good. She just wants to like charge in guns blazing, do whatever she wants, fix all the things, come at people, and she doesn't realize the power that her role holds, which obviously the arc, especially given episodes 2 and 3, is going to be her learning how to do that.
Right.
So
also, she's just so damn cute.
She is. Oh my goodness. Vivian Lyra Blair, who plays her, absolutely nails every single scene that she's in.
Every scene.
At the premiere, when the credits had finished rolling on 2, they introduced her last, and they were like introducing Vivian Lyra Blair, and she like ran out onto the stage and immediately ran to hug Deborah Chow and Ewan McGregor. Like,
so cute.
It's just so adorable. She also has her own little adorable droid.
Okay, so we need to talk about the droid too, because by the way, they've already made like 3 different versions of that as like a toy that you can buy now.
Oh, like it was up at the Hasbro booth the next day. Literally the next day.
The next day,
the Hasbro booth had Lola.
So cute.
And like my boyfriend actually said, like, oh, it had spoiled him for the droid being in it, because he walked by the Hasbro booth and went, I wonder if this huge droid display is something for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I love it. I love little Lola. It's so adorable. It fits her personality. It's cute. I don't quite understand what Lola's design is for, like at all. But I like it, and
it's
I want her to
stay. It's supposed to be like a little ladybug.
No, but I mean, like, what is the droid's purpose? Like, you know how every droid has like a purpose.
The droid's
so
purpose is to sell toys, Bradley.
I know that. Or what do we think it is? Like a little social media droid? Like it just like it follows you around and like it takes pictures and does kind of stuff like, you know what I mean? Like a nanny.
Standard helper droid, like just keep an eye on her.
It's like a
broadcast things if she needs to.
Right.
We see that it has like a little like saw that it uses to chop her out toward the end of the episode, or try to.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. I think it's super cute. Love that for her. I love that she calls it Lola. Because I think it has a designation. We just don't get that until the 2nd episode or 3rd episode. I think I can't remember what it is, but
3rd episode.
But it shows. Yeah, I think it's the 3rd one. But it's interesting because in not this next scene, but the one following it, we do see like that's why she likes droids, because she has her own best friend who's a droid. So back on Tatooine, Kenobi goes through the motions of work, minding his business until after work he is confronted by Owen Lars. telling him to keep his distance from Luke. During the conversation, they are interrupted by Inquisitors who confront the townspeople about the Jedi. Reva takes things too far as to cutting off a woman's hand, and she threatens Owen and his whole family to draw out the Jedi. The fifth brother is not pleased with Reva.
So the Owen and Ben scene is a fucking savage roast.
Ugh, loves.
Like, oh my God. I do want to talk about how it is very much a retread, a scene from a comic.
Okay.
That one of the comics, basically the same thing happens. Ben leaves stuff, Skyhopper, toys and stuff for Luke. Owen shows up at Ben's house in the middle of the night and like tosses it back and is like, leave us the fuck alone. And delivers a line to Ben, which does not appear in this show. However, I do want to bring it up in the vein of roasting Obi-Wan Kenobi. Owen says to Ben, haven't you killed enough Skywalkers?
Burn, literally.
So Owen has spent 20 years roasting Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He's been holding on to that one for a while.
A few minor notes. Luke is absolutely showing 100. Owen would not be trying this hard to keep Luke away from Ben if Luke weren't already showing some signs of force sensitivity. I do also want to note that Owen tells Ben that Anakin is dead. And this is important because it's worth remembering everyone thinks Anakin is dead. We just take it for granted that Obi-Wan knows that Anakin is alive in A New Hope. He left Anakin for dead on Mustafar.
I think he explains to Owen, he's like, hey, like, I mean, it's like off camera, but he's like, hey, he died. You know what I mean? Like the father died and the mother died. The
father died. Now, Owen also probably does not know that Anakin turned to the dark side.
Right.
Probably what Owen was told is Anakin died. This is Anakin and Padme's kid.
Right.
Anakin died. Padme died. Both of them are dead. We need to hide this kid from the Emperor.
I just thought too, does Owen even know that Luke has a sister? Or does he just think he's an only child?
He thinks he's an only child.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Yeah, so they don't know about Leia.
Ben wouldn't have compromised Leia by telling her about...
By telling anybody else, yeah. Interesting. So he doesn't even have like 99% of the truth. He just has Luke is the biological son of Anakin Skywalker, and that's it.
I also do want to point out how respectful of Obi-Wan's alias Owen is. Like, he never calls him Obi-Wan. He just calls him Ben, which it would be super easy for Owen to like deploy Obi-Wan's real name. But no, he's like, no, you're Ben. You're annoying the fuck out of me and you need to leave me alone. But you're just Ben now.
That's why he's such a bitch in A New Hope. He's like, that old coot. Old Ben.
Well, I mean, Owen does take a fucking lightsaber to the face here in about 5 minutes.
That's true.
Speaking of that sequence, love Owen's use of exact words to get around Reva's questions. Because he specifically says there are no Jedi on my farm. He does not say there are no Jedi here, and he does also not say there are no Force sensitives on my farm. He really is like determined for Luke not to be a Jedi.
Yeah, he's like, he's never gonna be a Jedi. So there ain't one on my farm.
Exactly.
Which is also a euphemism for being gay, by the way. So let's throw that out there.
Yeah. We'll give Owen a little credit for protecting Luke, but also like.
But also he's clearly like a slightly homophobic country dad, you know.
Clearly we're doing the family-friendly version of that.
Right.
Well, this series has done a lot to complicate Owen because originally in A New Hope, Owen's kind of a dick, and he's portrayed as a dick because we're meant to sympathize with Luke. We are in the late 70s, early 80s meant to be kids who are like, oh yeah, my parents don't want me to do anything, yada yada yada, and then we run off and have adventure. This adds an element of complication to that because he really does want to protect Luke. He really does want the best for the kid, and he thinks he knows what that is, to the point where he faces down a fucking lightsaber without blinking. Like, you can see his face tense up. Like, he is perfectly prepared to die to protect this kid.
Okay, yeah.
We are also getting some more Reva motivation in this scene where she talks about being impressed that Owen's like willing to die to protect his family. She's clearly very disappointed in the Jedi for not doing the same thing.
Yeah, you can see that there's something there where she holds resentment, and then it's like we explore that a lot more in the third episode, I think, but it's definitely like you can see where there is that budding, like her character is starting to come together and make sense.
Here's the thing, audience, and I'm going to paraphrase myself on Twitter a while ago. I am going to have to break out my, I have a literal degree in screenwriting. I'm better at this than you had. I try not to on this show because I like the vibe of, oh, if you like Star Wars and you have something to say. But here's what irks me is there's been a lot of criticism of Reva's character from people who present themselves as like script experts. I'm like, you are dumb, idiot fucking children with a microphone. You are overgrown man children with a video camera and a YouTube account, and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So here, let me help you a little bit. Sometimes when you write a thing, you parcel out the villain's motivation over the course of the thing. And 30 minutes in to the 5-hour thing, the villain is not going to turn to the audience and go, here is my motivation for doing the things I do. That's not how it worked. So we are getting audience. It is trusting you. Obi-Wan Kenobi is very good in that it is trusting you to read between the lines in terms of the world building and the characterization. And part of it is Reva's characterization. You have to read between the lines. You have to look at what she's saying, who she's saying it to, and how Moses Ingram is saying it in order to get across how does she feel about somebody being willing to defend their family to the death. That is interesting to her. What does that tell us about her as a character? She does not simply turn to the audience and say, wow, it is interesting to me because of my tragic backstory, the notion of someone defending their family. That's not how this is written.
She's not a Saturday morning cartoon villain. Like, she's not going to be like, I only have 11 minutes to get to the point, so...
And like direct to these people who are not listening to the show. If you're listening to the show, you're probably lovely, but I have to get this off my chest anyway. You may not think you're being racist, picking these things apart about Reva's character, and you may tell yourself, oh, it's just bad writing, yada, yada, yada. One, please analyze why it only seems to be women of color that you criticize for having bad writing. And number two, even if you tell yourself, I'm not racist, I'm just criticizing the bad writing, you are empowering racists to take that words that you're using and turn around and use them to attack the actress.
Right.
So you need to examine why you feel you need to be critical of this particular character and whether or not you need to be doing it in such a way that this is a direct attack. So I am very annoyed with the Star Wars fandom right now, but Ewan McGregor has said things much more succinctly than I could. I, with a degree in screenwriting, love Reva's character and will continue to analyze these episodes and explain why. And yes, when there are missteps, I will point them out.
Yeah, that's not to say there's not things wrong with the show.
Oh, yeah.
Like if we really were going to like nitpick and like bring things apart, like it's absolutely easy to do that because everybody makes mistakes. There's you can't have a perfect thing. So
there's things we've glossed over that I'm not particularly like man, this doesn't really land for me, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, you
talked about the Order 66 at the beginning not really landing.
Yeah, but again, in the context of we've only seen the first 3 hours of a 6-hour movie, you know what I mean, you can't necessarily judge it yet. Like, we can judge it enough, but I can't be like, oh, that scene doesn't make any sense. It's not important. It shouldn't be there, because I don't know yet. There's still 3 more hours left.
The Reva scene with Reva and Owen, aside from just Owen being a badass motherfucker, does so much to tell us about who Reva is without turning to the camera and sitting down and going, alrighty, CinemaSins, today we're going to explain in detail why the world building makes sense. Looking at you, Beauty and the Beast, the remake. Like, that's what happens when you try to turn to the audience every 10 seconds and rationalize your fantasy.
Right.
Like, you get Beauty and the Beast, the remake with Emma Watson. It's very good, and we need to move on before I continue to get angry at some of the shitty takes I've seen on the internet.
Absolutely. Back on Alderaan, Senator Bail Organa and his family head to an event. During the event, Leia's annoying cousin berates her for being kind to a droid. She reads him for filth, and he tattles on her. After a talk with her father, she runs off into the woods again, where she is confronted by the bounty hunter Vest Nokru. His goons give chase and kidnaps the young princess.
So we'll come back to chronological in a second, but I had a thought that's not in my notes that occurred to me.
Yeah.
Leia's cousin is absolutely the type of person to go onto TikTok and comment Rey is not a real Skywalker under every video tagged Rey Skywalker.
But then immediately turns around and is writing fan fiction about Rey because he's sexually attracted to her.
Exactly. Exactly. He is the type of person, he is the perfect person to be simultaneously obsessed with Rey.
Yes.
And continue to insist that she's not a real Skywalker. Exactly. You're not even a real Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you sound, TikTok commentaries who do this to every single video. Yeah, Bail Organa, and this is confession number 2. I also knew Bail Organa was coming.
That one's not as much of a shock to me.
Not as big of a deal as I knew Leia was going to be in this show. I did know Bail Organa was going to be in this show.
Gotcha.
Jimmy Smits just loves... Between this and Mon Mothma and Andor, I'm kind of getting that Imperial Senate show that I wanted. It's kind of roundabout and split between a few different shows.
Right.
But this is the show I wanted.
I'm glad Jimmy Smits is back because obviously, like, you know, you can't recast that man. But also,
well, you can recast anybody, but he is he is very iconic in this particular role.
Did you know that Jimmy Smits was in How to Get Away with Murder?
I did. He is in season 3. He is Annalise's therapist.
Interesting. I just had to bring that out because I was like, because I've been doing with all the people, when every time we bring up a person's name, I have to go through their IMDb page just to make sure they're not in a Disney thing and a Marvel thing. So I was looking at his thing and I was like, oh, not a Disney or Marvel thing, but a Charles thing. So he's in How to Get Away with Murder.
Every time, How to Get Away with Murder, listeners, is my favorite TV show. So Bradley will point out anytime an actor has appeared in How to Get Away with Murder.
If I catch it, I will. Yes.
Some rapid fire notes. I bless Bale's heart for trying to be like, we need to address the systemic inequality, and this guy being like,
nah,
sure. Nah.
I just came to eat the lobster. Like, I don't give a shit about your fucking problems.
Which Star Wars isn't political, guys. There's no politics in Star Wars.
Not at all.
C-3PO is in the background of this scene.
That was cute. I like that.
We can see him. Very cute to see him there.
I did like that.
I'm on the fence on whether Leia is using the Force.
Okay.
It's possible her Force has given her more empathic abilities, but...
Yes. I see that because I think, honestly, now that you say that, I think because we've seen... I'm not going to say what happens in episode 3, but I feel like she does a similar thing in episode 3, and actually in episode 2. She also does a similar
one in 2.
Yeah, so honestly, yes, you're right. I think she is using the Force, yeah.
I feel like you could argue she's using the Force kind of subconsciously.
Yes.
She doesn't realize she's doing it.
Exactly.
But it also does explain why she's going to be such an excellent senator, because
she knows how to read people, yeah.
She's reading people literally subconsciously with the Force.
Right.
It is not in my notes, but I would be remiss if I did not point out the gloriousness of Leia Organa's fucking burn to her cousin.
So good. So good.
I felt that in my soul.
Yeah.
Like, Owen's out here roasting Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we're thinking this is going to be the worst roast in the show.
Yeah.
It is the third. It is the third worst roast in the show. Leia Organa currently holds the title. Everything Leia Organa says is the second worst roast. It's between this and one she does of Obi-Wan in episode 2.
In episode 2, yeah. She's really good. She's coming out with sick burns every episode.
She's coming out with sick burns. We will get to the number one burn thus far in the show when we get to episode 3.
Right.
And if you watched episode 3, you know exactly what burn I'm talking about.
Loves that.
Cute little scene with Bail and Leia.
Mm-hmm.
Many people have pointed out that it makes sense that Leia would be accepting of Rey as a Skywalker, given what she had to go through being an adopted Organa. And once again, we see thematic stuff that will carry over into the sequels. Bail talking about how you are an Organa in every way feels like a direct repudiation of Rey's not a real Skywalker, like a direct repudiation of it. He does also mention Purrgil, He mentions wanting to chase Purrgil. Purrgil, as we know, are from Star Wars Rebels, or as my boyfriend terms them, space whale.
I think we forget the space whales are a thing sometimes, and it's just
space whale.
It's like when we forget there's space wolves. Like you just always forget that there's like this random thing that just exists in Star Wars.
But yes, we do respect chosen names here. Between Owen calling Ben by Ben, between Rey Skywalker and Leia Organa, we respect chosen names here. Leia's so fucking Anakin, though, when she like, yeah, I'll totally apologize, bolts into the woods.
Right. Yeah. She's like, okay, I'll do it. Not.
Bolts off. Real fast, in the scene with Brea, where they talk about like, well, you know what she's like, you know who she's like. They're talking about Anakin, by the way.
Yeah.
You can also see R2-D2 in the background of this sequence.
Oh, I didn't notice him.
It's fast. It is fast, and it is off to the opposite side of the screen for Brea. It is literally like the definition of an Easter egg. Like you have to be hunting for it. You have to be
hunting for it. Interesting.
You will straight up miss Art. I watched this on the big screen, and I straight up missed R2-D2.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely did not see him.
But he is there. He is down and to the right. He's down and to the right. Brea and Bail are to the left. He is down and to the right. So if you're watching the part of the screen that they want you to watch, you won't see him. But if you notice it, he's there.
I didn't write this down in my notes, but the droid that she's nice to at the dinner party is not the same droid that's in A New Hope, who is also a silver C-3PO or whatever.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Really?
I thought they were the same, but they're not, because this one has blue sensors or whatever it's called for their eyes, and the other one has regular like yellow sensors or whatever. So it's like it's a different droid, which I thought was like weird, because like, why didn't you just use the same one and like be like, oh, that's the silver droid that was also on the ship with them in the beginning of the movie.
So Vect Nakru, who is our bounty hunter who captures, is continuing a grand tradition of putting random musicians in Star Wars. That is Flea from, I believe, the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. And funny enough, he almost has a Disney trifecta.
What's he missing? Is he missing Marvel?
He's missing Marvel. He's actually been in lots of Disney stuff, but the two most notable ones I wrote, he does voices in Inside Out and Toy Story 4.
Interesting.
Which I didn't know that either. I was like, this man almost, if you just put him in one Marvel thing, he is officially a Disney trifecta. Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is a Disney trifecta.
Red Hot Chili Pepper. Well, it looks like he's done some. It's not a random thing, because he has 104 acting credits.
Yeah, he definitely does do stuff, which is weird.
And only part of them is like as himself in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He has shown up, like I'm scrolling through. He was in Boy Erased. He was in Baby Driver.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. I just had to pick the, obviously Disney stuff. I was like, whatever.
He just shows up and randomly does stuff. Like someone on Twitter, I think it was Liam Likes SW, I think, pointed out that I think the Falleen that's with him might be our first live action Falleen, but it is not our first Falleen to appear in a live action Star Wars.
How does that make any sense?
Let me explain. During the production of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in order to fill up the stadium for the pod racer stuff, which is not digital, that is a miniature, some of the figures they used were the tiny Micro Machines Prince Shizor. So Falleen have appeared in the stands in episode. Bradley is like, his eyes immediately glassed over, and he like rolled to the side and is falling off his screen.
Oh my God, you're such a nerd.
I am.
It's like almost like you like Star Wars or something.
It's almost like I've been obsessed with this stupid Space Wizard franchise for 25 years.
20 plus years, yeah.
I've been in this a long time.
Back on Tatooine, Kenobi receives a distress call from Bail Organa telling him about the kidnapping, but he refuses to help. He goes back to his work routine, but when he comes back to town, he sees the Jedi Nari's body strung up for all to see. Kenobi heads home to be confronted by Bail Organa in person.
Obi-Wan has a Game Boy, and I love that for him. He also has like the old comm, like the Phantom Menace, like Jedi comm.
Like the razor blade or whatever, the Venus razor that Liam Neeson uses.
No, like the hologram projector.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Not that comm. It's the hologram projector.
The hologram projector. Gotcha.
Oh my God. I'm terrible at Star Wars. I messed everything up. Bail has an interesting line here when he's trying to convince Obi-Wan, which is very resonant. She's as important as he is, which I love that line. Also worth noting, so from a certain point of view, it is revealed that Obi-Wan sends a Skywalker twin to Yoda. He gets really, really, really excited to finally train her and has to get crushingly disappointed when he finds out it's the boy.
Right.
So Yoda wanted to train Leia. He didn't think Luke was ready. He wanted Leia to be trained.
Isn't it like just like a man to be trained first?
Exactly. Luke just exercised his male privilege.
Right. Unfortunately.
And he got in the line, and then he ended up having to train Leia. So
right. So it all worked out.
I just love the line and the idea that Leia is as important as Luke is. And I think paralleled with the decision to center Leia as the main kid in this and not Luke, definitely like it's good that they've chosen to give Leia this story.
Yeah, because especially what's going to be interesting is watching this and then going back and watching A New Hope and trying to like be like, okay, let's see how this like matches up like with his decisions and stuff. Because in A New Hope, he's very much like, oh, Luke is the important one. I have to focus on Luke. And I think it's because one, Obi-Wan Kenobi is slightly sexist because he's like, oh, I see Anakin in a boy. He doesn't see Anakin in a girl necessarily.
He's also not spent a lot of time with Leia, so it's harder for him. He sees Padme and Leia.
Yeah.
But it has been pointed out by people on the internet that Luke is more of Padme's child and Leia is a little more of Anakin's child.
Yeah, it's funny how they did that, but
so Nari dies.
It was inevitable.
Really fucking dark like ending for him too, where they've got him like strung up.
Yeah, but then we can also say that's like Reva being just extra. You know what I mean? Because like from what we know, the Inquisitors just kill people and go. Like they don't, you know what I mean? They're not about to like make a example out of it. You know what I mean? They're like, all right, let's just get the fuck out of here. Like move on.
Which is what they do. The second they're done, they just piss off.
Right.
When Bail shows up in the cave, I loved the framing of him as like a Jedi.
Right, because you didn't know who. Like,
because it's exactly like Luke in Force Awakens.
Well, I think people might have thought it was also going to be randomly Qui-Gon or something, just for like a hot second.
Do you want to know my immediate first thought?
What was your first thought?
Oh my God, it's Asajj Ventress.
No, shut up.
No, that's like funny. Legitimately, I had brainworms and was like Asajj Ventress.
Is like, Asajj alive by this point?
No, she's dead.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I was like, why would you say that then?
Well, we will get an Asajj Ventress connection later on.
Yeah. Episode
indirectly.
3, yeah.
I loved the framing of Bail as like a Jedi.
Yeah, because he's got the robes and
where you can almost hear the do 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 do.
Right.
When he's standing there. And his plea, obviously, please help. This sort of explains why this works in A New Hope to get Obi-Wan off of Tatooine, because it's worked in the past.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. And he knows where he is.
This explains why Bail sends Leia.
Right. This is why he knows where like Ben is or Kenobi is, because he helped him earlier, like 5 years ago, like to, rescue his daughter and blah, blah, blah. So it's interesting how it's all going to connect.
Yes, what this series is doing is really well is it's telling its own story, but it's also kind of retroactively keying up a lot of stuff that's going to happen in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And we will get to it in episode 2. I have watched scenes from A New Hope again, recontextualized, and it makes perfect sense.
In the final scenes, we see the bounty hunter ship heading for a new city planet. Leia is tied up, but she has her droid Lola to help her. While she is helping her escape, she's discovered by the bounty hunter Vest, who crushes the droid. Back on Tatooine, Kenobi goes digging in the middle of the desert for not one, but two lightsabers, that of his own and the one of Anakin Skywalker's. We cut to the bounty hunters, who reveal that Reva, the Inquisitor, was behind the kidnapping to draw Kenobi out. Kenobi makes his way off Tatooine to find the missing princess.
I like how Leia's already resourceful.
Yeah, she's already like, I'm getting out of this shit.
And she's trying to break herself out. And she's down into the smock, the white smock, which is obviously supposed to be reminiscent of her dress in A New Hope. So I love how resourceful she already is. Obviously, it was all Reva's plan.
Of course. Here's
the thing. So Reva is a contrast to Obi-Wan, in that Reva is very, very proactive, and Obi-Wan is very hesitant. And so she acts as a foil to him. She's not going to wait for the Grand Inquisitor to give her permission to act. She's just going to go. So, contrast to Obi-Wan, where literally everyone's telling him, please do something.
He's like, nah.
And I was like, nah. So I do like that. Let's finish off by talking about the scene where he goes out into the desert and gets the lightsabers. So one, was not expecting to see Anakin's saber.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, it makes sense. If he buried his own, he would have buried Anakin's too. And then on top of that, I love that this is the exact inverse of the ending of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's like the exact opposite.
Where that one was, okay, Rey is going to bury the lightsabers and the legacy in the desert and move on and forge her own path. Obi-Wan's like, I have to pick up who I used to be. And he literally exhumes his own corpse, essentially, from the desert.
And then my final thing is just directed by Deborah Chow. I mean, we don't have to say that every episode because she's directing every single episode. But
this series is directed.
But we can talk about her now.
Chow.
Yeah.
Deborah Chow, who's of course directed an episode of The Mandalorian before running off and doing this. Writing credits were interesting. There's 3 writers credited because they had to rewrite this a few times. That is a thing that things get rewritten all the time.
Right. And you have to include everybody. Yeah.
And you have to include everybody. WGA rules, you have to include everybody.
Right.
So when you hear like, oh, the screenwriter left and they brought in a new screenwriter, this is normal in Hollywood.
Right.
You are only paying attention to it now because it's Star Wars.
Exactly.
It does not mean they had wild production issues. It means they needed to settle on a tone and a consistent arc and story, and they went through multiple writers to do it. It happens.
Right.
Calm down.
Any final thoughts on the episode?
Nope. Very excited to watch episode 2.
Which we will preface with, we technically got to watch back to back because
we did get to watch back to back.
So, but
I
we'll
got to watch both in the theater. No, I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty peak Star Wars. I think it's a lot tighter than some of the other stuff is. So like Mandalorian, even Book of Boba Fett. This is a lot tighter of a story. That it's very obvious. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate how they brought in a lot of different people like Brea, Bale, some of these other characters, without being like, oh, look, here's Bail Organa for no reason.
Right. It makes sense in the story. Yeah.
Anytime the Grand Inquisitor shows up, and he's not just there to be another Inquisitor, he has a role in the story.
Right.
Fifth Brother, he's not there to be another Inquisitor. He has a role in the story and a role to play in Reva's story.
Right.
And we'll get to that in episode 3. But I love that. I'm loving the show so far. A+ job. What about you, Bradley? What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, I thought I was not expecting this show at all, honestly. From the beginning to end, I never knew what was going to happen. I thought it was really cool. Definitely in the realm of a Star Wars movie, because like they said, it is a limited series, but it's like a 6-part movie essentially that we're watching, and it's going to be interesting to watch it all at once. going back and being like, oh, that's why they did that. Oh, that's what that was hinting at. So I think it'll be recontextualized much better in the final showing of all the episodes. Like once we get the finale, I think the episodes will be greatly enhanced. I think they're already good, but I think they will be even more enhanced when we get to watch the final thing as a whole.
I'm really looking forward to, whenever we do these shows, we do them week to week, and then we go back. I go back and I marathon the whole thing before we do our retrospective. I'm really looking forward to that retrospective.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be really
good.
Marathon
of the whole thing. Because 1 and 2 together were a great little movie.
They definitely needed to be together. I will say that.
Those two definitely. I do see why they chose to put them together, because those two definitely needed to be put
It makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Alrighty, well, I guess go ahead and run the socials so that I can go watch the first 3 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi again.
Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gays.
Did Charles fuck something up? Email us and let us know at goldsquadrongays@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at goldsquadgays, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at goldsquadrongays. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gays, where we post this podcast as well as exclusive video content.
Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gays. You know what's funny is I was about to rewatch the episode and I was gonna double check.
4-letter name, Bradley. How
I
do
know.
you fuck up a 4? How do you not?
It's Reva. No, or is it Reva?
I think it's interchangeable.
Okay, I'm gonna say Reva because otherwise I'll mess it up.
Okay. We'll go with Reva.
Okay.